coming to you live from George Finney Stadium on the campus of Baldwin Wallace University. This is women's lacrosse action on BWYellowJackets.com. Alongside Jeff Miller and Brendan Gulick, the Wilmington Quakers and the Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets today in an OAC matchup. Wilmington having a tough season. They've only won one contest, but they're probably coming off of one of their better games of the year. Yellow Jackets in white, Wilmington in green as we get started. Wilmington 1-7 up against a BW team that's having a nice start to the season. They've already won 6 games, 6-2. And, of course, BW beat Wilmington in their contest last year as well. It's a couple of programs that are still fairly new. We get a whistle there on the near side. Jeff, obviously Baldwin Wallace is a team that you certainly feel good about the way they score the ball. But I think it's their defense that could put Wilmington in a tough spot today.
When you have a senior anchor in your goaltender and Amanda Guetta, who missed last year but came back this year. So, she's been the anchor behind there for them the whole year with Jenna Turner, the two upperclassmen. So, and then you're now starting a couple freshmen back there today in this game against Wilmington to get them some experience.
Right away, Maddie Russell in front of the net. We'll give you starting lineups here in just a moment. Maddie Russell, a two-time All-Region selection. One of the most accomplished players in school history. We get an early goal. The Yellow Jackets just a minute and 3 seconds into the game. Strike first.
Katie Coker cuts across the arc there and then gets a nice pass from Maddie Russell and hits it up right over the Wilmington goalkeeper's right shoulder. So for the nice score there for Katie.
Actually, it sounds like it was Megan Patrick that scored. That's what they've just announced on the PA system. We apologize in advance. The BW uniform is very difficult to read. Yellow numbers on the white jerseys. And without a replay monitor in front of us, it's tough to tell for sure sometimes. So we'll give you the information as best we can. But it sounds like sophomore Megan Patrick scored that goal. And that would be her 11th goal of the season. Although, on the live stats, it says that Megan Patrick had the assist and Katie Coker had the goal, as you said.
It was definitely Katie Coker.
Okay. Well, we'll go with Katie Coker then. So Katie Coker, who's actually one of the team's top players. Coker, a junior from Rocky River, 3-time all-conference performer. She's had a really nice season so far. Starters for BW, Jenna Turner, Hannah Stein, Megan Patrick, Maddie Russell, Hannah Fredrickson, Erica Eierman, Erica Davidson, Katie Coker, Mackenzie Moran, Kayla Miller, Amanda Ghetto in goal, and Hannah Elbrechta. Nice save from Megan Wylach, the sophomore from Canton, Michigan. She's in goal for Wilmington. It's a Wilmington team that you are largely going to see for Wilmington today who's on the field. They have only 4 substitutes listed on their roster, and 3 of them are injured. So they have one young lady who is able to come off the bench. Freshman Hannah Gratch, junior Carmen Watson-Stuckey, sophomore Sam Spittler, freshman Summer Wilbur, junior Becca Petra, freshman Rachel Reinhart, freshman Rachel Brown, freshman Clara Blaine, junior Abby Engelhart, junior Kelly Angevine, junior Whitney Bradford, and then, as we mentioned, sophomore Megan Wylach in goal. That's a starting lineup for Wilmington. So the Yellow Jackets controlling on the offensive end. Again, they have played pretty. That being said, Wilmington's probably coming off of its most complete game of the season. Head coach Bree Galloway in her first season, only the second head coach in Wilmington lacrosse history. She said it was probably the best 60 minutes we've put together all year long. It was an 8-7 loss to Thomas More, who is a regional team, but not a conference opponent. They play in the Ohio River Lacrosse Conference. Coker tries to dump it underneath. Partially deflected on the shot. Wilmington controls and thrusts it out.
Try to go a reverse on that scoring attempt there. That was Patrick with the attempt off the feed from Coker.
Kayla Miller right in front, and she strikes.
Nice pass there from Coker again.
So Kayla Miller with her 18th goal of the season. She and Maddie Russell each had 17 goals on the year coming into the game to lead the team. Talked with Kayla Miller yesterday, and she said she was pretty excited about the chance to play a home game here this afternoon. She knows that there's a couple of big games coming up between Wilmington and Heidelberg on Wednesday. Heidelberg in its first year as a program. Then things get really tough in conference next Saturday with Capital. 2-0 BW early in the game. Taking a moment to make things happen here at midfield. And our head official, Jessica Seamate, sends it back into play. Linda Cochin and Mike Paysack, our other two officials. And they are wisely in long pants, long coats, and sleeves. We get a foul call.
Yeah, Clara Blaine won that draw control right off the face-off there, and then immediately got fouled. But now she turned it over, and the Yellow Jackets picked up the ground ball, and then Clara came down and caused the foul against Hannah Stein. So back on the offensive attack for the Jackets.
Stein racing up the near side. See if she can find some help in the middle. Miller and Russell exchanging passes. Working behind the net.
Hannah Albrecht behind the net now.
Not a bad idea to kind of flick it right in front there, but a slightly off-target pass.
And that was gobbled up by Jenna Turner to reset the offense for the Yellow Jackets.
Turner, a senior from Carmel, Indiana. One of the team's attackers. Miller tried to help swoop that one free.
Yeah, Turner's pass was knocked down, and Kayla was unable to bring it back into her net. Here comes the Quakers the other way, and a quick steal by Hannah Albrechta.
Right in front, no room for a shot for Mackenzie Moran, the sophomore who was a late addition to the starting lineup, replacing Bree Martineau, a freshman from just up the street in Strongsville. Wilmington trying to work it out of the defensive half of the field here, but they'll have to retreat again. Russell was in front. Perhaps some room here. No, the ball was jarred loose. And the clock stops with 24:33 left in the first half. BW on top, 2-0.
Hannah Stein with the foul there, and she's going to get the free position look right here. Possibly going to put the Jackets up 3-0 quick here in the first half, excuse me.
Another whistle and another stoppage.
Think we're going to reset that free position again.
Shot goes just a little over the top of the bar. And we'll go to the Quakers. So Wilmington has not really had much of a chance down in the offensive half of the field. In fact, they don't have a shot, let alone a shot on goal in the first 5 minutes plus of this game. Kayla trying to pick up the loose ball. Maddie Russell steps in. Russell was named the OAC's Defender of the Week last week. Second time in her career that she's taken home that honor. Oh, great pass in front of the net and an easy finish.
Coker with the goal. Assist goes to Albrecht. A nice move there by both of them.
Wilmington broke down defensively. Just nobody home at all. Very well done. 3-0 Yellow Jackets at the 23:38 mark.
And the correction on that, Maddie Russell, that was her first Defender of the Year, her second. She's had both now.
That's right.
She's had both. So it's for a midfielder, she has the opportunity to get both opportunities, and she's earned them both in her career, once as a freshman, once as a senior. So pretty all-around great player that Maddie is.
That's right. So the Defender of the Week last week, but an Offensive Player of the Week earlier in her career. And you're right, she is really by with no argument, she's pretty much the best player in program history. It's still a young program, only in its fifth year, but Maddie Russell has basically established most of the career school records And we'll keep our eye on those over the next few years to see who might be able to break them. And obviously, when you don't have quite as much time in the length of a program for a little while, but as new players come in and try to achieve what she's done, might add to her story a little bit.
Yeah, she definitely she holds all offensive categories other than assists, which Katie Coker holds as a career, but Maddie is second all time in that category.
Clock stops at the 22:57 mark with a whistle. And we get a replay here.
Jenna Turner going to step in here for the free position this time.
Turner tried to bounce it in. Deflected off the side of Megan Wylotch's leg. Wilmington has one win on the season. They beat Hollins College, an all-women's school in Roanoke, Virginia. Great look inside and just a little wide. Maddie Russell couldn't find the side bar. Wylotch has started all but one game this year. She's played a significant number of minutes in net. Jackets had a close look at the net, but chose not to let it go. Instead, a good pass toward the middle. Wylotch kind of came over to the side.
Moran fighting for that ground ball now, and Maddie Russell finally picks it up, and they're going to reset the offense through Coker, who's pretty much your point guard here in the basketball terminology of women's lacrosse. Now Brechta trying to go to the net, gets a foul called on for her, so she's going to have a free position attempt here right now at the 22:01 mark of the first half. And she takes it in and scores. Brechta with her first goal of the game and her 12th on the season. Comes at the 21:59 mark. BW up 4-0, and like you said, it's pretty one of those things that it's all been in the offensive end for the Yellow Jackets. I think the Quakers have been in the offensive end once, and they turned it over right away.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of ran up the sideline, and that was that. Well, at some point, Wilmington's going to need to get something. His 12th goal of the season goes in. Maddie Russell pulls it down off the draw.
Gives it right back to the point guard, Coker.
And you start to wonder, too, what it must be like for a team that's playing so much defense in a game where they certainly feel like they're a little outmatched, but how do they try to get better? As we get another whistle for a foul. You know, you obviously have to control things one play at a time. You can't get too bent out of shape, but you just start to wonder after a little while what Wilmington can try to do better or to improve at all in a game like this. It's not as if they're not playing hard. Just they're kind of stuck on their heels right now.
Yeah, it's been, you see it in any sport where one team's pretty much on top of in controlling the game, and right now the Yellow Jackets have that. And you and I have done some soccer games where we watched the same thing, that one team had control, and then all of a sudden you don't know. So it's for a team that's got nobody but one, only but one sub on the sidelines, it's very difficult. Now Brechta's shot blocked there by number 28, Whitney Brawford.
It looked like Mackenzie Moran was the one that tried to redirect it into the net. Russell behind the cage.
Couldn't get that pass to Patrick, but there's Coker with the ground ball to pick it up and reset the offense.
Coker with a little flip to a teammate. Just about 10 minutes into our game.
Now Jenna Turner's going to run the offense.
Pass toward the middle, right in the crease. Still on the ground loose. Nobody's picked it up. And a foul.
Finally.
It's whistled against Abby Engelhart.
Yeah, finally there, Kayla Miller kind of flipped it back to Coker, and she finally got possession. That was a loose ball in the crease there for a while, and And as soon as Coker picked it up, she gets fouled. Free position attempt here for the Yellow Jackets.
Tried to bounce that one in there. Didn't work out as Wylotch was there to deflect it.
Mackenzie Moran, who got that late start, as we said, getting a lot of playing time today in just her second season, and this is just her first full season. She missed all but one game last year in her freshman campaign, and then ran cross country in the fall for the Yellow Jackets.
That one rolls out of bounds on the far side of the field. You know, it almost goes without saying, but young ladies like Kelly Angevine or Carmen Watson-Stuckey up on the offensive half of the field for Wilmington, it must be freezing. They really haven't moved around very much. The wind chill today in Northeast Ohio was below 30 degrees. It's 28 here on April 1st. It is windy and very cold. And given that they haven't had a chance to really get involved much, I imagine it's probably been a chilly day for them so far.
And that's not an April Fool's joke,
No,
what the temperature is here.
It is brutally cold today. Coker at the top, gives to Russell. Pretty well defended. Finds a teammate cutting in. Nice save. Looks like it was Hannah Fredrickson on the shot.
Actually, it was Megan Patrick.
Megan Patrick with the shot?
Yep.
I'm telling you, man, I can't see these numbers at all. The bright yellow numbers on the back of a white jersey.
In your first game, yeah, you get to start identifying who they are other than what their jerseys are just by the way they look.
Flicked up toward midfield. That was a nice pass for Wilmington. Russell with pass, jarred free. Ground ball picked up by the Quakers. And a whistle. 18:27 left in the Wallace leads the game 4-0. Wilmington still without a shot. Baldwin Wallace has taken 14 shots on goal, and we get a timeout. We'll step aside too. 4-0 Yellow Jackets on BWYellowJackets.com. Back at Finney Stadium where the Yellow Jackets have a 4-0 lead over the Wilmington Quakers in our first half of women's lacrosse here this afternoon. Alongside Jeff Miller and Brendan Gulick, Wilmington just took a timeout. They're hoping for their first shot of the game. But it won't come on this possession as Maddie Russell jars it free.
Just their second offensive attempt past midfield.
From right to the right of the net. Pass goes back to the far side. Coker looking for some room. Wilmington did a nice job defensively there, kind of clogging things up in the middle.
Another penalty there on the Quakers. Right before that timeout, though, Coach Russell made some substitutions, and we brought on Jordan Pa and Savannah Jekyll, and I believe Bree Martineau also was on the field too, but I could be mistaken. I haven't seen her.
Baldwin Wallace right now is just a half game behind Capital in the best overall record in the OAC. Both teams 1-0 in conference play. The only team yet without a win in the OAC is Heidelberg in their first year as a program, and they're coming here on Wednesday. A shot and a score. Kayla Miller with her second of the game.
Nice pass there from Hannah Albrecht to get Miller in stride as she was cutting right towards the cage, and she just shaked and baked and put it right over the goalkeeper's shoulder again. I think they saw on some field there on some film that it was, go high or go low against this keeper, switch it up each time down.
So the Yellow Jackets with a 5-0 lead. It's a Baldwin Wallace team that in their first 8 games of the year had scored 99 goals. So they were just a little over 12 goals per game. And today they certainly seem to be on pace for much of the same.
They scored 14 last Saturday in their OAC opener against Muskingum. And last year they scored 21 against Wilmington in their OAC game last year. So I think you're going to be seeing 14-plus goals today, too.
Well, meanwhile, Amanda Ghetto's goals against average continues to drop. She has not seen any action at all today. Russell from right in front. 6-0 BW.
Coming off the assist from Coker, too. So Coker just continually adds to her school all-time record for assists.
Entered the game with 119 career assists. Katie Coker has been so good in that regard.
That's her second assist of the game to go with 2 goals already, too, for Katie Coker, who you don't usually hear on the scoring side of things. She's more of the field general, leading the offense and getting those assists.
And I think it's fair to point out that, when you're recruiting somebody to a program, in both schools' cases, it's only the 5th year of lacrosse for both teams. I think there's something to be said for trying to help build a program as Maddie Russell comes up with the ground ball again. Katie Coker obviously has had a really nice career. She still has a little while left, only her junior season, but been a mainstay since she came on campus. Kayla Miller considering a long-distance shot, instead gives to Russell, and just before she could get a shot off, a foul called. Actually, you know what? I am mistaken. Coker is a senior. So what the heck? She's still got a little time left anyways. You're right. That's right, because I mentioned earlier she's a 3-time all-conference performer. And another goal.
Free position goal there for Maddie Russell. That's going to be her second. After the officials check to make sure the pocket's legal, the goal stands. So here we go back to midfield to start with the draw. 7-0 Yellow Jackets with 16:58 left to play in the first half.
We've mentioned a couple times that lacrosse is fairly new to these two schools, but it's really still pretty new around the conference. In fact, of the 10 affiliate members of the Ohio Athletic Conference, or I should say the full affiliate members of the OAC, the only school that does not have men's or women's lacrosse is Marietta, and they've made a commitment now to add that here next year.
Yeah,
2018, 2019.
I believe, yeah.
Yeah, so 2 years from now.
And Marietta at one time had men's lacrosse and got rid of the program because nobody else in the conference had it.
Nice save. Ball came right back to the Jackets, though. They keep possession. And Russell finishes from in front.
Russell with her hat trick already off the assist from Patrick on that first attempt. Nice play there by Patrick, but Wylock just stuffed her, and then she got the ball right back, found Patrick, and then got the cutting Russell for the her third goal of the opening half.
Well, we're going to keep our eye on Maddie Russell, whose career best is 5 goals in a game. Last time she did that was against Otterbein back in 2014, so 2 years ago, or I should say 3 years ago during her freshman season. Maddie Russell may be looking at a new career high here this afternoon. 8-0 BW. We've been playing for almost 14 minutes. The difference between the men's and the women's game, remember, is that in the women's game, well, there's a couple differences, but just some of the general rules. On the men's side, you play 4 15-minute quarters. On the ladies' side, it's 2 30-minute halves, but when one team on the ladies' side has at least a 10-goal lead, the clock will not stop counting. It continues to run down even on fouls and whistles. Boy, Wilmington just can't get the ball on the offensive half of the field.
As soon as they step over the midfield stripe, the Yellow Jacket defense, and pardon me, swarms to them, and they're knocking the balls free. And that's something that Coach Russell prides this team on, is their defense. Both coaches have been ranked in the country the past couple of years with scoring defenses and caused turnovers. And the women, I think, were second in the country last year in caused turnovers. So she prides herself on how her defense gets that ball out.
Head coach Bree Galloway of the Wilmington Quakers, only in her first season. She's got a pretty impressive playing background. She actually won 2 national championships at the junior college level. Maybe Wilmington generating their first offensive chance of the entire game at this point. Pass goes to the far side. It's definitely the first time that Wilmington's been this deep consistently into territory occupied by the Jackets. A bobbled pass in a high scoring area. Sam Spittler dropped it, and the Jackets pick up the ground ball.
Fredrickson has that ground ball and then almost lost it, and I think she did.
Looks like it'll be Wilmington ball on the replay. And a stick totally knocked out of Hannah Gratch's hands. She's not particularly happy. Yellow Jacket ball.
You don't see that very often, that a stick is on the ground and there is no call.
So BW back on the offensive. 8-0 Jackets, more than halfway through our first half. Possession changes here.
Maddie Russell went to the bench, and I'm not sure who came in for her.
To keep our eye on some of the young ladies who see lots of playing time for BW, like Kayla Miller and Maddie Russell. I wonder maybe if they won't see a lot of action here the rest of the game, just given the lopsided score early. I mentioned Maddie Russell already has 3 goals in the game. Coker, Miller, Coker, Albrechta, Miller, Russell, Russell, Russell. The last, or I should say the scoring summary for BW, all 8 goals. 19 shots, 15 of them on goal. Not a single shot the entire first half so far for the Quakers, on goal or otherwise. Finally controlled by BW. Wilmington in green, Jackets in white. Coker, give it underneath, still controlled, but No real room to create a shot. That one almost went in, and it wasn't even attempted to be put on net.
Turner's pass went errant, and Martineau picked it up, finds Paw, who just misses there. So
BW looking for a good opportunity. That's scooped up by the Quakers and given to the goaltender. Jeff, as you kind of look at this conference here in 2017, what do you think some of the favorites are to try to win the OAC title?
Well, obviously you can't look away from the team that's won it every year since the inception of the conference in women's lacrosse in Mount Union. Graduated a lot of their key players, so it's going to be one of those interesting things for Mount Union to see how, I mean, they're doing very well right now, but not to the level that they were the past few years with the players that they had that just kept scoring and doing everything. That they didn't play many other people. They relied on their key stars to win their games and win the conference the last 3 years, and then or the last 4 years, and then you obviously got to look at the Capitals, the John Carrolls of the world, Otterbein. Those are probably, and BW. Those are probably the teams right at the top four. The top four only make the conference tournament, with there being 9 teams now. The 4 newer teams in Muskingum within the last 2 years, Ohio Northern the last 2 years, Heidelberg this year. So it's been one of those things that it's been a top heavy for the first 4 years of this conference because they've been around the longest, and now you're going to have all 10 within the next couple of years. So maybe the postseason will expand into a 6-team conference tournament, but who knows? That'll be on the coaches to decide. But right now, I don't see that changing. With you're pretty top heavy with your 4 or 5 more established teams. That nothing against these newer teams, but you got some teams that are just brand new that aren't at the level just starting the programs.
Well, that's part of the challenge in starting a sport when you're not adding it every school all at once. There's just an imbalance of power for the first, potentially as many as 8 to 10 years in conference play. It certainly doesn't mean it can't shift over time, though. That was nicely defended by Wilmington. Mackenzie Moran tried to find her way into the front of the cage and just didn't really have a room to get a shot off. Moran flicks it back to the middle. And a Fredrickson wide right of the net.
Ford even was shot. There was a whistle again. Not sure what the call was, but blew it dead, and it's going to be a free position for Fredrickson.
Fredrickson shoots just a little low and left.
Moran will reset the offense from behind the net.
Right in front, and a goal.
Moran finds the back of the cage off the nice feed from Martineau. 9th goal for the Yellow Jackets in this first half at 9:20. That is Moran's 5th goal of the year, and Martineau's 3rd assist.
So the Yellow Jackets at this point only 1 goal away from having a running clock here in the first half.
Running clock the remainder of the game if it would stay without a goal by Wilmington.
And again, I'm not trying to bash the Quakers. I mean, again, it's not like they're out there not trying, but they don't have a single shot in the first 21 minutes of the game. They've been on defense essentially the entire game. BW has scored 9 times on 23 shots.
I think the Quakers have been in the offensive end maybe 5 times. Russell's back on and wins that draw control.
I imagine she's probably on because the Jackets are now at a point where they could bring the running clock into effect and for sportsmanship purposes, you kind of want to bring that in. Kayla Miller as well at the top of the red circle. Controlled by BW.
You know how cold it is when Jenna Turner's just got hit on her hand a little bit, and she's still shaking it. So
Kayla Miller threw it right into the net of Megan Wylonch. Wilmington off and running. This is the most explosiveness we've seen from Clara Blaine and her team so far. Blaine, the top goal scorer and top performer this year in a lot of regards for the Quakers.
She's been impressive on both offensive series that she's had the ball and for the Quakers down here in the offensive end. So you can see why she's their go-to player. Turns it over there. Savannah Jekyll with the steal, and she's bringing it forward. She gets it up to Patrick, and Patrick's coming right at the goal.
Boy, she is flying to the net and had it jarred free, I believe, by sophomore defender Sam Spittler.
Good defense there by the Quakers. .725 and counting left here in the first half.
Jackets on the attack. Miller in front. Shot deflected.
Erica Ironman now up, playing up a little from more front today. That was her shot block saved there by Wylock. Wilmington trying to get the ball out of the defensive end and just throws it right out of bounds.
Russell goes to the far side. Patrick looking for Coker. Some poor passing by the Yellow Jackets, not able to control the ball. Finally, they have it back, trying to pull it out a little bit. Clara Blaine trying to play tough defense. Russell with a high pass. This is Jenna Turner. Jordan Paugh gives it over to Kayla Miller. BW patiently looking for something on the offensive end. Not a bad idea on the cut toward the cage.
Finally, Martineau comes away with that ground ball.
Haven't seen much from Bree Martineau today, the freshman, but she is in there now. A lot of room right in front. Kayla Miller finishes. There was nobody in front of the net.
They were just sitting there waiting behind the net, and that was Maddie Russell with the ball behind the net, and just saw pretty much the seas opened up, and Kayla just came running right down the middle there, and perfect pass from Maddie Russell for her to finally put it in the back of the cage there for her third. I believe that's her hat trick too now. And to give the Yellow Jackets the 10-0 lead with now the clock running with 5 minutes left to go in the first half.
You feel for the kids playing for Wilmington. Again, they're certainly competing, and it's just frustrating to look up at a scoreboard if you're a Quaker fan right now and see that you're down 10-0 and you haven't had one shot on goal or otherwise the whole game. Maddie Russell gets called for the foul. Had a chance to visit with her yesterday in a kind of a sit-down setting. Featured her as one of our Yellow Jacket Athletes of the Week. She was named the Conference Week. Anna Grash. Claire Blaine. Grash once more. Jackets really trying to tighten up defensively here. Under 4 minutes to go in the first half, and Blaine drops the ball. Pestered by Martineau. Actually, that's not Martineau, but Savannah Jekyll. No room to operate anywhere close to the net for the Quakers. The defense kind of broke down there. Gratch gets the shot off, bounces it in front, missed it to the left. Still Wilmington ball. First shot of the game for Wilmington comes with 3:22 left in the first half.
And luckily there for the Yellow Jackets, that Grash got by the defense that kind of fell asleep there and let her go, and she just bounced it wide. Opportunity there for the Quakers, and that is something that they can keep momentum going on for themselves going back for the remainder of this first half and the remainder of the game.
Looks like we have an injury, and so the clock stops for a moment while Summer Wilbur, the freshman from Manchester, Ohio, and Manchester High School, needed a moment to get back to her feet.
I think on that loose ball there, the stick might have inadvertently hit her, so seems okay and ready to go back and play here. Coker racing across midfield. Nobody even picked her up till almost the crease.
Well, she finally turns her back to the net for a second before dishing it off. And a whistle. This is a Wilmington team that's already played one conference game. And they lost last Saturday to Mount Union 21-0.
Martineau's now going to have a free position attempt here.
Martineau with some room, and she scores down and to the right. It's 11-0.
That's Martineau's first of the game and her 13th on the season. And just her second free position goal in 4 attempts. So,
I have to be honest, I'm a little surprised at how infrequently free position goals have come so far in this game. You would think, especially if you're right at the top of that red circle, you got a wide open look, take a step and fire it. Just over a minute left here in our first half, with BW way out front. Play on is the signal. Maddie Russell comes away with it. She makes the pass up the field. Albrecht in front, on the bounce, picked up and scored.
Erica Eierman with the goal there. That's might be her first career goal.
Well, and the pass wasn't even originally intended for her. She just happened to be at the right spot on the field.
That's just her second career goal. I make the correction. Her last time she scored was 2 years ago on spring break in Florida against Becker, Massachusetts. So it's been 2 years for Erica, who plays mostly midfield defense. So congratulations, Erica, on the goal. First of the year and second of the career.
Eierman, a junior from Magnificat High School, an all young ladies high school in Rocky River on the west side of Cleveland. Kayla Miller tried to slip through the defense there. She just kind of thrust the ball straight up into the air. Maybe now an open field opportunity for Angevine.
With 5 seconds left to go in the half. And that's going to do it for the Yellow Jackets as Quakers are unable to get off a shot with time expiring.
Only got one shot the whole half, but you're right, nothing there on that last possession. And Wilmington needs to regroup. It was a nightmarish first half from the Quakers and a first half for Baldwin Wallace that probably couldn't have gone much better. 12-0 BW We'll have the second half here briefly on BWYellowJackets.com. Halftime at Baldwin Wallace with the Yellow Jackets on top of the Wilmington Quakers by a score of 12-0. Brendan Gulick and Jeff Miller are along with you. It's been a tough day for Wilmington. They got one shot off in the first 30 minutes against BW, who ripped off 12 goals on 28 shots. Kayla Miller, Maddie Russell each already with hat tricks. Maybe the highlight of the first half, though, came when Erica Eierman scored her first goal of the season and her second goal of her career. And that only Wilmington shot came with just 3 minutes and change left in the first half. So this really has not been a competitive game for Wilmington. In 90 minutes of action in conference, Wilmington has been outscored 33-0. Now, it doesn't help that they've played Mount Union and a good BW team, but nevertheless, not exactly how you draw it up. Second half underway, and these two teams switch sides of the field, so BW now in white, attacking from left to right. This is Kayla Miller. Looking back, a wide open shot and a goal.
Mackenzie Moran there, I believe, looks like. Yes, that's
it was Mackenzie Moran. So that came about 15 seconds into the second half.
It's kind of now how things work for the Arena Football League with the clock running, that even when they score, you got a quick look to see what time the goal actually went in.
So the Yellow Jackets lead 13-0, and they may be on their way to the most lopsided win of the season. It's just been that kind of day. Miller comes to the near side. Martineau. Or I should say right in front, that was Jordan Paw, not Bree Martineau. Just missed it off to the right. Yellow Jackets looking around. Nothing off to the left, off of Jekyll's stick. But BW keeps possession. Miller was trying to cut to the cage. Flicked over to the right instead. Paw has it. Nice pass and a shot that deflects off the post. Somehow finds Miller's stick. The Yellow Jackets keep it. Was an opening for just a moment in front of the net. Everybody fighting for it. And finally the whistle blows.
Almost turned into looking like when you watch little kids first playing soccer, how that group was all together in one big huddle and nobody wanted the ball.
So Wilmington starting to make their way up the field. Quakers coming off a game that they were proud of. It was an 8-7 loss against Thomas More, but head coach Bree Galloway said after the game she felt that was one of her team's best games of the season. And the problem right now is they're just not building on it. Jekyll on the attack. Wanted to take it herself the whole way.
I think she's going to get a free position attempt here. She had Albrechta running right with her and could have given it off. And, you know, Jekyll hasn't seen much time this year and looking for her first collegiate goal, and it could come right here.
Off to the left. Stays with BW. Baldwin Wallace is out shooting Wilmington 33-1. A foul as Miller was driving in. So another free position. A pass behind the cage and back in front, and it's jarred free. Nice find and a goal. Hannah Albrechta, the sophomore, kind of reached back, caught the ball, and then flicked it over to the left. 14-0.
I think that was a pretty feed in from Jenna Turner, who's normally a defender, but getting to play up front today with the, being, or she is an attacker. I'm sorry, I keep flipping people around on rosters who people are because they're all playing in different positions normally than they do today because everybody's getting an opportunity. Jekyll's been playing up more, and she's been listed as a defender this year.
Kind of tough to look over at the Wilmington bench at the moment and see two young ladies that are sitting over there, and both of them look extremely cold on a day that is unseasonably cold for April 1st. Temperature today in Cleveland at the start of the game, the wind chill was 28.
Pretty good reason why women's tennis left the outdoor courts and went indoors to the facility here on campus.
Miller had an opening but couldn't control the awkward pass as Maddie Russell scoops up the ground ball.
Almost looked similar to a wide receiver making the turn before they caught the ball there too.
Coker fires toward the middle. Back to the outside now. Jenna Turner. BW keeps it in bounds. Paul looking for some help. Slips past the defender. And her shot was deflected away and saved by Wylotch. Nice job by Maddie Russell to get her stick up there and deflect that ball away. Looks like it's Wilmington ball here on the restart. But Russell knocks it free. Well, the Yellow Jackets got the 10-goal advantage in the first half, so the second half will be a running clock. Unless Wilmington were to score at least 4 goals, or I should say at least 5 goals before the Yellow Jackets were to score another. It's got to be 9 goals or fewer. Once you're up by 10, then the clock starts to tick. False start by Wilmington.
I think that's a very gracious rule and great rule for this in women's lacrosse, especially for these newer programs that you're going to go play some of these powerhouses, even if you play some of these other schools in Ohio, like out of the North Coast Athletic Conference that have been established for 20-some years. If you're going to go play them, you need to have those abilities that, make sure that you're not getting too humiliated or distraught as a team, and you're going to lose, that focus of wanting to play and be happy about being a member of the team.
There's no doubt that sportsmanship comes into play here. Nobody wants to be on the wrong end of a 14-0 score, especially when there's still 20-plus minutes left in the game. And you're right. After a while, when you're still trying to build a program, you're going to take some bumps on the chin along the way. It's part of it. I actually think Wilmington's looked a little bit better here in the second half. It's almost as if they've tried to just put the first half behind them, kind of erase what's happened so far. Can't really control the first 30 minutes now that we're into half number 2 as Erica Davidson helped restart things. Into the middle, Coker. Tipped it underneath. It was deflected away. Good attempt by Megan Patrick. Oh, Hannah Fredrickson instead on that shot.
And like we said too, great great rebound too for the Quakers after, losing 21-0 to Mount Union, who is your 4-time defending champion. But to come back and bounce back and only lose by a point, I mean, you don't want to lose, but to have that opportunity to come back and have your coach say it's the best 60 minutes my team has put together all year, that's impressive. That you got knocked down pretty bad by the defending champions, but you came back and bounced back in a non-conference game and almost pulled off a win.
So with 20 minutes and 37 seconds left in the second half, it's BW 14, Wilmington nothing. And if you're just joining us, in the 40 minutes of action so far, Wilmington has 1 shot. BW has 35 shots on goal. And the Yellow Jackets in a one-sided affair at the moment. It is a cold, windy April day in Berea. And it's been a long day for the Wilmington Quakers. A little contact on the far side there. The clock continues to wind down. I think that was Rachel Brown that got knocked over. See if we can get you an update from around the conference here this afternoon. Let you know how other schools around the OAC are playing. At the moment, Muskingum leading Heidelberg 14-3 early in the second half. Mount Union is shutting out Ohio Northern 12-0 late in the, or I should say, late in the first half. Those are the only other 2 games today.
And like we said, playing the 2 top teams, 2 of the top elite teams for the Quakers in back-to-back games, they only got 1 shot off against Mount Union too. So tough stretch to open conference play for the Quakers. But you come away with it and just we played the 2 of the elite teams, we'll build from it.
Actually, that Mount Union Ohio Northern game is now early into the second half. It's 13-0 Purple Raiders. 3-goal game for Mackenzie Pencil. 5-goal game for Danielle Rohrman. Yellow Jackets and Purple Raiders on a collision course for a OAC final regular season game. Coker back to Miller. Coker open for a second. Trying to elude a defender. "18 minutes left in our game. BW by 14. An opening and a bounced shot that is offline.
Jekyll just missing her first collegiate goal. She's pressing. She wants to head off. Wants to get that goal.
In the meantime, it has been a lonely day on the other end of the field for senior goalkeeper Amanda Ghetto. BW mishandled the pass. And a free play restart.
This would be, lonely day back there for her. It's Ghetto, and I can't see who's with her, but they're both pretty cold back there. Oh. So, and this would be Ghetto's first career shutout. Her best performance leading up to this was 1 goal allowed against Muskingum 2 years ago. In Muskingum's first year of their program.
A great pass, but no finish. Albrechta bounced it to the left. Well, in the middle of the season, both on the men's side and the women's side, we've seen some pretty lopsided scores. Muskingum was here last weekend. And heck, the men won 24-1. We had a men's game earlier this week against St. Vincent. That was a non-conference game, but 20-2 the final score. BW with a win. The Yellow Jackets way out front of Wilmington today. And I realize the scoreboard says 14-0, but to be honest with you, it really hasn't been that close.
Really one, maybe two opportunities in the whole game for the Quakers with their one shot. Other than that, maybe one other time they've been in the crease area.
Yeah, we played for 45 minutes, and they have hardly possessed the ball. This is as one-sided a game as, honestly, we've ever seen.
And just an update from the men's side for the BW faithful. The BW men are up 10-0 just in the start of the second half there down in Wilmington against the Quakers. On the men's side for other scores, Otterbein leads Capital 5-4, and Ohio Northern is up 10-4 against Mount Union. And that's just early third quarter as well.
The BW men lost their first game of the season, and it was against a Division I opponent in Cleveland State. They have not done anything since then that you could classify as tough. I mean, they've just kind of rolled over everybody. They have not had a setback since the opening game of the year. Halfway through the second half, a shot and a score. Hannah Albrechta bounced one in front of the keeper, Megan Wylach, and I'm not sure she entirely saw it. Kayla Miller gets credit for the assist. Albrechta on the goal. And the clock stops with a timeout. We'll step aside halfway through the second half. 15-0 Baldwin Wallace on BWYellowJackets.com. .14:40 left in our second half with Baldwin Wallace on top of Wilmington by a tally of 15-0. Alongside Jeff Miller, I'm Brendan Gulick, and today's second half is brought to you by the Oriole Cafe, a great place for sports, located at 294 North Rocky River Drive in Berea, just a couple minutes up the street from campus. Hope you can stop in at some time soon and check out whatever sporting event you'd like on their many TVs at the bar. Proud sponsor of BW Athletics. Wilmington has it on the restart. One of the games that people all across the country were watching last night was the women's Final Four. UConn Huskies had won 111 games in a row before losing to Mississippi State last night on a buzzer beater in overtime. It was one of the most thrilling women's basketball games I've ever seen. It's pretty incredible. There's a shot and a save. Just the second shot of the game by Wilmington, and their first of the second half.
It was a nifty look there, too, by Abby Engelhart there with the second shot. I mean, it was pretty impressive play. If Ghetto wasn't standing right there, she would have had a nice highlight goal of the season.
There's a highlight and another goal. The Yellow Jackets strike again. It's freshman Jordan Paw. 16-0. That goal brought to you by Valley Ford Truck. We carry the load for Berea.
And that's Jordan Paw's first collegiate goal of her career, too. So congratulations, Jordan.
Clock continuing to wind down under third. We've had a couple of firsts today. I've also seen Maddie Russell and Kayla Miller not quite as frequently on the field. Or else maybe you could see them reestablishing some individual records. Kayla Miller had a 10-goal game for the Yellow Jackets. It's a program record. Of course, that was last year. Russell sticks her stick just high enough up in the air to grab the ball. Tough pass. Moran swung it inside where it was knocked away.
Five Yellow Jackets have not scored on the year now with the 2 goals today for the first-time goals of the season.
Not a bad idea. Staying alive and a foul.
One of those 5 just missed scoring her first goal of the season in Hannah Fredrickson.
That was awfully close. This is Erica Davidson, who misses as it was fielded cleanly by the keeper.
And there's number 2 of the 5 that have yet to score. And these are players, Davidson is more is a defender, so she's not getting those opportunities very often.
Davidson saved. Picked up by Mackenzie Moran at the 11-minute mark of the second half. And Moran is shoved out of bounds. It stays with BW. On the restart, Albrechta. Passes to the top. Jordan Paul looking right in front, just off to the left.
Nice look there by Paw to find a streaking Turner who couldn't get it down quick enough to get it off the post.
Loose in front of the cage. Was kind of deflected toward Wylotch. Wilmington tries to mount something on the offensive. Haven't seen many free runs up the field like this for the Quakers all game long. Rachel Brown will keep possession for Wilmington here.
She's fouled by Katie Coker, so it's Brown and Russell and Ghetto. That was it that was stopping her, and Russell cut off her run.
Quakers had 1 shot in the first half. They've had 1 in the second half. Anytime they can get a look at the goal, almost feels like a win for them with 9:20 left here in the game. It was basically a free run to the net and a shot that went just over the top. But it looked like maybe she was standing behind that red line, which is painted basically over the top of the goal line on the football field. And so the shot wood is illegal, can't shoot from behind the net. All right, Moran running it up the field on the far side. Sophomore from Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And she loses it out of bounds, but she'll pick it back up, stays with BW.
Gonna have Erica Ironman and Kayla Miller check in probably for the final 8 minutes.
BW leading 16-0. Softly lobbed toward the net. Wylach able to haul it in. Progress impeded by the Yellow Jackets, so Wilmington gets it back. Kind of stagnant offensively. A few passes here and there, but not a lot of movement away from the ball at the moment.
Next year there will be a shot clock in women's lacrosse, so once the goalkeeper or when they have possession, they will have 30 seconds to take a shot on goal. It's a little different in the men. The men have a shot clock right now, but it's only turned on when the officials think that the team is stalling. But that's 30 seconds to shoot once they think they're stalling. Unlike the women who are going to, as soon as they get possession, the 30-second shot clock's going to start.
It is certainly going to force the issue on the ladies' side. Could make for some either very high-scoring or some very low-scoring games.
The men don't need it because they seem to, as soon as they get the ball, they're gone.
Yeah, they play with some pace.
They take off running, and I mean, there was time. You look down to look at a stat, and they were already down in the offensive end firing a shot.
Definitely play with some pace, you're right.
A run and gun, run and shoot, the run and rebels kind of basketball term that they run and go. They didn't, I mean, both teams, St. Vincent and BW on Wednesday night were both running.
Pass into the middle. That's a good look from Paw. And turned over. Under 6 minutes to go in the game as we get a foul. On a bitterly cold first day in April, the Yellow Jackets are running away with this one. Wow. Flying up the field into some open space. Turner dips it underneath in front, and it's picked up cleanly before Fredrickson could get another shot off. And everybody has to put their stick down for a moment. Looks like Wilmington will call for a timeout. 5:11 left in the game. Quakers with a timeout. 16-0 BW. 16-0 BW with 5:11 left in our game here this afternoon. Baldwin Wallace and Wilmington competing for the only time here in the regular season, and while the Jackets beat Wilmington pretty handily last year, it looks like it will be much of the same by the time the final whistle blows here today. Again, it's the challenge of building a new program. Wilmington has only taken 3 shots in 56 minutes. Had a running clock the entire second half and for the last couple minutes of the first half after the Jackets took a 10-0 lead. Honestly, took a little while to get to that point. BW had a 12-0 lead at halftime. Their 10th goal came at the 5:46 mark of the first half. And it's BW ball with 4:08 to play. Sun starting to peek through our otherwise dark and cloudy skies. No rain in the forecast today, though admittedly the rest of the week does not look good. Monday and Tuesday in particular. Now, it really probably won't affect lacrosse given the fact that we're playing on a turf field here. But Monday and Tuesday have a whole lot of rain in the forecast. Wednesday looks okay. Heidelberg will be in town. The pass went over Moran's head.
Somebody's unhappy out there on the field. And that's not on the field, that's in the crowd because, yeah, that baby's cold probably like the rest of us.
3:25 to go. Miller. Nice find and a goal. Jordan Paw puts one in. Jackets lead it 17-0. Kayla Miller with the assist. Jordan Paw scores. She has not scored yet this game, right? No, I beg your pardon. That's her second goal of the game. Actually, it's her second goal of the season. BW really hasn't scored much here in the second half. In fact, that's their first goal in 10-plus minutes when Paw last scored at the 13:40 mark.
That's a career-high tying 3 assists for Kayla Miller. She's done it in back-to-back games now, and she has a game-high
3 goals.
6 points.
3 goals, 3 assists for her. Maddie Russell, 3 goals on 5 shots. Hannah Albrechta has a hat trick with 3 goals and 2 assists. Paw, Coker, and Moran have each scored twice. Martineau and Ironman with 1 goal apiece. Jenna Turner, 2 assists. Megan Patrick, 2 assists. The only 2 shots of the game that have been recorded on goal have come from Hannah Gratch and Abby Engelhart for Wilmington. In fact, in the live stats feed, it says that Wilmington's only taken 2 shots. The scoreboard said 3, but we'll go with 2 since those are the official numbers. Another shot and another goal. And a lot of excitement.
I believe that's Erica Davidson, and that's going to be her first collegiate goal.
Kayla Miller gets another assist, I believe. So a lot of firsts here for Baldwin Wallace today. Davidson all smiles as the freshman from East Aurora, New York, runs back up the field. 18-0 BW. Clock running with under a minute to go in the game. So with this one officially almost over, BW will improve to 7-2 on the season. We get another whistle. Wilmington will fall to 1-8. Yellow Jackets, we mentioned, will have a big home game coming up on Wednesday. They'll play Heidelberg at 7:30 on Wednesday night before going to Bexley next Saturday to take on the Capital Crusaders, who right now are the only team that have a better overall record. than BW. Wilmington, well, they're heading home to play Ohio Northern on Wednesday, and then the Quakers go to John Carroll next Saturday. There's the final horn. Final score, Baldwin Wallace 18, Wilmington nothing. Jeff, any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
Great. You know, they weren't trying to run anything up here in the second half. Got some people some opportunities that they normally wouldn't get, some experience and get some shots off, some goals. So great all-around game. 2 great games in the last 2 weeks for the Yellow Jackets in conference play. Getting themselves set for those bigger contests later down in the end of the year for, you know, that push for that OAC tournament and that first OAC championship.
We'll have the broadcast on Wednesday night for you before Heidelberg comes to town as the Yellow Jackets pick up yet another win, 7-2 on the season, and obviously playing well on the offensive end. 18-0 a win for BW today. For Jeff Miller, I'm Brendan Gulick. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll talk to you on Wednesday night here from Finney Stadium.